Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Prize, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is my report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Viz, Del Borovic as Morgan Rolls, and Josh Halbot as Gideon Vega. My report shows that the Inquisitorial band are in trouble on Mars. Valentyne barely dodged to death by scarabs. Attikus used his brawn to protect the band. Gideon led his fellows directly into capture by the Crimson Thatch chapter, and Morgan was discovered by a trio from Valentyne's past. Can these heroes survive the most deadly and numerous enemies yet? Find out next in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
Onboard recording. Hello, new friend. Looks like you could use a ride, you and your strangely upset-looking companion. Yes, sir, that would be most appreciated. Well, hop on. There's always room for more. And, you know, we got a pretty important mission going on, too, so maybe you can help us with that. Get in here, you. Don't die on this planet. Let's go to space. You're being marched down a hallway by a Crimson Thatch Space Marine. Gideon has been mistakenly identified as a member of the Adeptus Mechanicus. All of you are deep in a facility on Mars where you stepped through a dolmen gate into a heretical Necron research lab. It would seem the Necrons have got loose and are murdering their way through the facility. Luckily for the Imperium, unluckily for you, or maybe luckily, who knows, the Crimson Thatch Space Marines, the chapter commanded by Sandor Rafferty, one of the members of the Cabal you're hunting, are on site battling the Necrons. They ran into you, Gideon, and you said you were running from the Necrons, and one of them is leading you away from the site of the Imperial Titan you are trying to hijack in order to fight your way across Mars to the warp gate that will bring you to Terra to try and bring an end to these machinations once and for all. Valentyne, Attikus, Gideon, Jeffrey, and an arcoflagellant are all being kind of led by this Marine who, again, just kind of looks dismissively over his shoulder and says, "Can you give any explanation as to why there are Necrons in these halls?"
Gideon first up. No, they appeared suddenly. We are not sure where they came from.
And he whips around, grabs you by the chest, not even by the throat, but like just full body palms your chest, slams you against the wall, jams the bolter up under your chin, and says, "Are you sure?"
While this is happening, Valentyne would quietly, because he's within his robe, right? A lot of the weapons are hidden. I imagine Atticus's shield is inside the robe.
I think he's got on his back to look like a Mechanicus.
Sure, and honestly, with his arms just sticking out of the robe, like he looks relatively mechanic-y.
Valentyne really wants to know if there are any other Space Marines within short distance using his Auspex, or if they're just here with this lone Space Marine right now.
The facility has...
I'm thinking, sorry, that was not for anyone, but me thinking like I had 3 I've seen.
Yeah, the facility has Marines in it. Like they're clearly like working their way through the facility, but seemingly in small groups. And in terms of this hallway, no, you're not seeing any others. There's no action happening here. So there's no reason for any Marine to linger here other than this one who just happened to find you, who's probably clearing individual rooms. So no, you're alone with this Marine.
Okay. Because then Valentyne knows that we can ball if we need to.
Hell yeah.
But he would not strike a Space Marine while a bolt pistol is to a psyker's head directly in front
I
of
will
him.
say this is the bolter. He was carrying like a...
even the bolter, but it's just like, either way, you don't stab the guy who's got the finger on the trigger aiming at the warp bomb on your party. He's got to get himself out of this.
Gideon, I think, would just start stammering and then try and remember any sort of like inquisitorial speech that Attikus has like just like keywords and basically goes, yes, I swear on the golden throne.
And the Marine kind of like eases off a little bit and proceeds to kind of sweep his gaze through the helmet over the two of you. I need deception checks from Valentyne and Attikus. A tech priest swearing to the Golden Throne reads as suspicious.
I would say borderline insane and heretical.
Yep.
That's
So
wonderful.
he's now
Oh, no. I love this.
turning to
I
see.
thought that was weird.
Yeah.
Learning.
Turning
look
to
at you.
see, like, now actually scrutinizing all of you a bit more.
Yeah.
So deception.
I love it. Hell yeah.
Unless you want to roll on, like, unless you want to ball, as you say. For now, it's this is literally a how tech priesty can you look as this guy sweeps his gaze across, or are you just moving the second he starts to adjust?
No, because Valentyne still has a card to play that has not yet been played. He would he would see if this deception works first.
All right.
So what's our difficulty?
4, baby. And you best believe there's some adversary going on here. So
does that? I can't remember. Is that a fear thing first? No, it's upgraded difficulty.
upgraded difficulty. That's correct. So let me just pull my marine stats here.
Reassuring that I didn't know where to find deception on my character sheet.
Yeah.
I use it so often.
So this
yes.
is adversary 3.
This is adversary 3. Nah, fuck
So-
it. Valentine's going to play his card then because there's no. Attikus can't carry this.
No.
I think Valentyne realizes he could probably pull this off with his augmetic limbs. He's carrying in a different position. He's got an arcoflagellant next to him that would absolutely scan as a solid 80% servitor, which would lend to him walking it around. But this is the point where he would say, "Enough of our disguise, gentlemen. There's no more need to lie. Pardon me, Marine. My name is Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne. I have been sent by Galen and Wilhelm Roach. I'm a member of this conspiracy. I fought my way here, and it's time for me to take charge. The optimists are ready to contribute to our overall goal. The Crimson Thatch, it's time for you to rise to primacy, is it not?" And he's going to cast off his robes and reveal his rosette.
Okay.
Different kind of deception roll.
Oh, fuck. The marine, still holding against the wall, turns the bolter to you and says, "What in the Emperor's name are the optimists?" Valentyne, I need some fast talking here.
You're asking me a question that I believe you should be asking Sandor Raffy. Are you aware of the entire conspiracy? Are you aware of the entire scope of what we are doing here? What I know is you are an incredible gift, aspect of humanity, something greater than any of the rest of us. And that is something that needs to be appreciated, something that requires you to be celebrated at a terrible cost. And I am ready to help you pay that cost, because I have the full power, the legitimate power of the Inquisition behind me. I can open the doors that you can't. I can turn aside the blades that would face you. I can walk you and your master to wherever you need to go to achieve your goals.
You Billingberg's replacement?
Of course.
Always the chatty ones. And he like drops Gideon down and says, "What are any of you doing here? You should be through the gate with the rest of them by now."
Absolutely. We're running late for the party, which is why we're hurrying to catch up.
Disgraceful. The Necrons we've unleashed will be causing tremendous amounts of damage through here. We need to get out of here. Also, if that Tau fleet deviates from the path Johanna sent them, I believe the term is fucked. So I need you to get to where you're going now.
Lead the way. We're ready to follow.
And he just like picks up the Auspex and just is like steps to one side and just radios and being like, it's a lot of like, "You never fucking believe what we're dealing with." Yeah, all right, I'll get them. We can have a vehicle ready for you this way. And he turns you around and starts marching you back towards the Titan.
Yep. Valentyne looks at the other two and say, "No more need for the robes. We've been unmasked and we're among friends."
Yeah, Attikus will remove the robe and like ball it up into his fist and into his hands, and with one, I guess the power fist hand. No, it'll be a broken sign language again. With the 3-fingered hand, he'll just sign interrogator in the questioning context.
Valentyne will just shake his head no, continue moving at this point.
Yep, and he just nod and then discards the robe.
Gideon takes his robe off and ties it around his waist to cover up the piss. The expanding piss.
Yep.
Valentyne will keep the robe on the arcoflagellant because it does look like a Mechanicus escort at this point, and he does not want to reveal that he has a walking weapon with him, as that is his ace in the hole at this moment. It's also believably something he could have, but
great.
It's following. Jeffrey is Jeffrey.
Tears the robe off.
Yeah. He can't tear. He doesn't have that amount
that
of
dexterity.
Yeah. All right. So the Marine continues to lead you down the hall.
Just fighting, just nothing happens.
He's getting tangled up in it.
Meanwhile, Morgan,
Yep.
you were confronted by a tech priest wearing a bit of a ratty robe at this point. In his variety of gimbaled arms, you see a number of ancient and powerful looking weapons. There's a plasma pistol. There's some kind of disruptor weapon. That said, his hands are wide open. His sort of like heavily modified face, like what little mouth he has left, is smiling. But he only has a moment of that before being shoved out of the way. And by shoved out of the way, I mean shoved, but he doesn't move because he's mostly metal. As a slightly more gaunt, slightly more gray Sacator Voidstain comes up, and he is actually looking a little ripped. His arms are thick. He's got like scars crossing his face. The mutton chops are a little grayer. Still a heavy set guy, but much more solid than not, and just tears coming down his face. And he says, "I knew you would. I knew you would return. Lord Blackhand was correct. His tracker worked. We found you after all these years." And he just rushes up and throws his arms around you. As meanwhile, there's just, you hear the continued servo punching to death of this Necron. Chunks of it are flying past you as the demon and this sort of flash of gold continues to just rip this thing apart.
Yeah. So we're going to have just an instant of intense panic where it was like, do I just go back through the grate? Do I just fuck off? And then it's like that moment passes and Toby flies out and up over as Voidstain comes to her, and she steps forward and unzips down, so there's a little bit of cleavage.
There we go.
And as Toby flies up and over her shoulder, she's trying to get pictures that show the Titan and these people and sending them back to Valentyne.
Sure.
But what she's doing, her face lights up and her arms come out, and she's like, "Darling, I thought you were dead. I thought we'd never see each other again." And she runs for it and gives him a smooch, and she is wearing the ring he gave her.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
And Blackhand laughs as a Necron screams behind him and just says, Oh, Sacator, after all this time, Sacator Varn, you found your partner. And he's crying. He's like, "I told you, sir. I told you she'd be with him and it would all be worth it." And he just pats him on the head and says, "True. So that makes one of the two of you. Wickstrop, we'll have to see about yours." And the golden-armed man just rips like a spine out of the Necron thing, drops it. And you see Duke Wickstrop turn, and he looks bad. He is gaunt, ropey muscle. He has replaced his arm with the golden arm from Greybridge, but it's all like battle scarred and scorched, and has clearly been retrofitted to punch a little more power fist-y. He's scruffy. He's kind of in like a dirty singlet with like a leather like combat jacket over it, and he just kind of turns back and says, "Yes, hopefully. Enjoy your moment, Varn."
And
goes back to
Morgan
punching as the lyric monster rips pieces off of the Necron.
Yeah. Morgan is frantically looking at the scene and all of the stuff going on through Toby, but she is keeping Voidstain's eyes and like pulls back a little bit, and her thumbs are like running over his bottom of his mouth, and she's like, "Is it true? You decided to take my name?"
"Well, it seemed only appropriate given our exchange of vows, and I thought if you didn't make it out of there, then at least I could carry on your legacy."
"That's so very sweet. I thought you would want the Voidstain name to continue on."
"No, it can die with Greybridge. I would rather forge a new future together as Lord Blackhand wants. It's going to be so wonderful. With Valentyne leading everything, it's going to be wonderful. Oh, my dear, you have so much to catch up on. We need to tell you all about the Second Inquisition.
I was gonna say, this is the point where Valentyne, having received a photo, sends the photo back, and you get the ability to look at these people in front of you, and there are labels over each of them. Octavius Blackhand is like extremis diabolus, excommunicat traitoris, actively opposed to Valentyne, execute on sight. Then it's like lyric, the base bio, warp spawn, extremis diabolus, excommunicat traitoris, kill on sight. There's basically, he just lays out all of these people, why they would be his enemies, that they are heretics, that they need to be killed. That is I guess in this case, it would be a secondary mission in that scope. Otherwise, it's a simple kind of written in that, 1980s Terminator text of just captured by Crimson Thatch chapter, convinced I am Billingberg's replacement. We move for Terra. You have the key. Meet us there. Stay undercover. Escape if you can. They're already at the palace.
Fuck. Okay.
That's what he would send over to Morgan.
Can I see if Lizardman
Oh, wait. One last message.
So?
I trust you.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, Morgan will continue that of, it sounds like you have accomplished so much, and truly there is so much for me to catch up on. I need to know everything. While Toby is frantically looking for where is Lizzo Lizardman, and even alighting on her if...
Yeah. She's over there, and Octavius says, "Oh no, I fucked up your robot. So sorry. Hang on. You want this thing? I know you've got a bird. That's neat. You want this one too?
Yes.
Oh, I'll fix that one for you. Great." And it just like picks it up, and it's like watching someone fix a Rubik's cube, where it's just like just tossing the body. Oh, this is Eldar tech. It's weird. Like cracks open the carapace. And says, well, here's your problem. And grabs the Trinrakai soulstone and just hurls it over his shoulder.
Could Toby try and grab it?
You roll me a...
Oh, fuck.
Roll me a... Whoa, what's this one going to be? It's going to be coordination, I guess.
Okay.
It's like a reflex-based check.
I'm rolling it with Toby stats.
Yep.
Ooh.
Difficulty.
2, it's just lobbed. Like he's not, it would be different if it was thrown as like a baseball. This is just hurled casually over his shoulder.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a setback for Toby being busy with other stuff. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay. I'm just going to roll it. Okay.
Yep.
3 successes, 1 advantage.
Nice.
And Toby's going to grab it, and she's going to make a over-the-top kind of sneery nose curl face at Blackhand, and then turn back to Secretary Varn at this point, Secretary, and be like, could you please ask this intense person to be more careful with my things? You know how I feel about my things.
Oh, I will have to ask rather politely, Lord Blackhand. And he goes up and like tugs on his robe. And Octavius, like, distracted, was like, and
Toby will swoop back to her, and she will grab, trying to cry, and put it in a pocket.
Yeah, perfect.
Or down her boobs.
Yeah,
like, that's what I have space for here.
Varn just says, if you could please be a bit more gentle. My beloved is one of your Lord Valentyne's favorites, and if you seek to regain his favor, I would recommend treating her rather well. Perhaps even assisting her in her objectives would be a useful way to. And he says, "Okay, you run along, little guy," and like taps him on the head. The lyric demon kind of crawls down and sort of stands to full height, just danger close. To you, and Blackhand sees her and goes, "Oh, yeah, right," and tugs with one of his gimbaled arms, and like, as you wouldn't be listed on this, but like the small kind of creeping form of Alto, kind of on all fours, comes creeping into the room, just like mouth open agape, just burning warp fire behind his eyes and mouth, and you just see the head turning like unnaturally towards the window. And Blackhand kind of follows it and sees the Titan outside. He says, "Oh, yeah. Look, I think he likes it. Were you going for that thing?"
That was part of my ploy, yes. Where are all of you headed?
"Oh, we're trying to find Valentyne. He and I parted on, I will admit, a little bit rough terms, but I've had a long time to think about it. And, I mean, I can let the little guy tell you the story if you want, but I don't love how the Imperium works very much. And I've spent a long time trying to figure out ways to just tweak it, make it better, you know? The flesh is weak, and I've replaced it with a bunch of really cool stuff. I understand, I mean, I worked with these two for a little bit, and I mean, the little guy admittedly used to be a bit better, but she is a hell of a lot deadlier now than she was. That's true of our resident interrogator as well. And he points over his shoulder, and you see a figure that's been kind of lurking behind him a bit, step forward, and you recognize sort of a gaunt, gray-skinned Cora, just lacking a mouth, just no mouth on her, but kind of stepping forward. Her hands have been replaced with like basically little chainsorty type weapons. And she just kind of stands there. She says, so she's better now too. She used to have hands, and she's got chainsaws. Anyway, we're trying to make it better. And I realized originally I was thinking maybe I could do that. But I got to thinking, everywhere we went, your boss found the best people. Me, them, and yeah, some of them died and turned into warp monsters and other things, but like good potential. So here's what we're working at. I think the guy on the throne might be dead. Heresy, whatever. I think our guy might be the guy. I kind of want to put him there. I think we should be following Valentyne. Think of what he's done. Think how capable he is. And me, I'm going to lead his Inquisition with all these guys. These are my band, my Inquisition band. You see, I'm following his example, trying to be just like him. So that's what we're going for. You want to help? As like the demons move in around you.
Yeah, she's like, of course. I think he will be perfectly happy with this arrangement. Morgan lies so hard.
Give you that deception.
Give it, because Morgan is watching all this. It's just, she is looking at any, like, scrambling to find a way to escape. But right now, it's like her back is against a wall. She's right in front of that vent. There's nowhere else to go right now. These people are all very powerful. So it's like, I have to play whatever I can play to try and stay alive in the meantime.
Yep.
With my difficulty.
It's difficulty 4, and he's adversary 3.
Jesus.
All right. I'm going to use a story point just to see if I can play this. This would be
Do
nice to buy
it.
me some time. If at all possible, I would like to try and buy time. I have, I took, it's now 2 yellow, 2 green, 1 boost for lying, because I got a boost for concealing information. 3 red and 1 purple.
Oof.
I'm going to give you an additional setback for Cora.
Yep.
It's unsettling.
It is very unsettling. All of this is unsettling, but this is...
I'll pitch a boost for her new husband, who's
Sure.
very present.
Yes.
On side.
Yeah,
I'll buy that.
he's Team Morgan. Well, Team Captain.
Captain Rolls March. Yep. I've never heard that name. Okay. So I'm just going to roll it. What is it?
You got this. You got this. You got this.
No. 2 advantages, 3 failures.
Eesh.
He sighs, and faster than you can.
No.
I know you're opening your sheet for spending advantage.
They know.
So I'll give you that.
I can perform a free maneuver.
What's your
Okay.
advantage? Yeah.
To the wall.
I know. I'm gonna roll out of the way. I'm gonna roll, instant fall roll. Try and run.
Okay, you instant fall roll.
Rolls Varn.
And
He said it in a way like it's definitely going to work.
Yeah.
I believe. Hey, this is as soon as she saw that didn't land. It's like I try to run instantly.
I understand. I appreciate the instinct.
Yeah.
Lyric leaps across the room and kind of lands on you. And it's only a blade appearing under her throat, like basically between her teeth as she goes to bite your throat, that prevents her from gutting you, as Voidstain says, "Hands off, or you will taste the rest of my blade." Mm-hmm. And Corrin's just like, "Oh my God, these people. Sometimes I doubt, but Emperor Valentyne provides. It's all opportunity, right?" And he just picks your head up and smashes it off the ground until you are unconscious. Yeah. As Voidstain screams, cries, and bats his sword flat side against him. Yep. But that is how Morgan goes lights out. Meanwhile, you are led, Valentyne, Attikus, and Gideon. You're being hurried by this Marine through the halls of the facility. You can hear again the sounds of combat. Every so often, a tech priest will run around the corner, and the Crimson Thatch Marine just shoots him because at this point.
We're not fucking around anymore.
Well, and you guys can't. If you're Billingberg's replacement, it's deeply embarrassing that you're here, and he doesn't want any word of this getting out. So he kind of rushes you through, and he says, "You'll forgive me, Lord Rafferty did not inform me of the role of the Inquisition in the final assault. Are you supporting the Orc Marines and the Prime Orc?"
Plans within plans. Yes, of course. We might need to support that or elsewhere. I'm aware the situation is fluid. As we are late, I believe it would be whatever your commander would suggest if you have word with him. If you do not, then send us into the war zone and we will do what we can.
Yes, that is a sound idea, Inquisitor. I can see why you were chosen for this. And he patches into, I assume, like, Marine radio contact would probably be like to a dispatch to, like, I don't think he can just calm up Rafferty unless Rafferty's on site. Is that your understanding of?
I mean, if Rafferty's on Terra, no, I don't think he'd be able to calm.
He's on Mars, but he's not like in the facility.
If he's not in the facility, it depends on, Martian tech is amazing, so if there was anywhere where they could patch through a Martian network, then it would theoretically be no problem, but if they're running off of their own juice, it would really depend on how much interference is in the space.
There is a lot. Okay, so I'll say he puts his hand to his comm link and just shakes his hands. "Forgive me, Inquisitor. There is far too much interference for me to raise Lord Rafferty directly. If we can get to a comms relay, I can get a message to his ship."
Understood.
So he pulls out his auspics to check the map, leads you kind of further away from the Titan to a comms relay. Mm-hmm. He says, "Stay here. Kill anything that moves that isn't one of us."
Of course.
Goes through, patches in, and obviously, I assume you're listening in.
Oh, as much as can be heard.
Yeah.
Yes.
She says, "Lord Rafferty, we have a member of your guests here. They seem to be lost in the facility." Then he turns and looks back and says, "Inquisitor, your name?"
"My name is Lucius Valentyne, sent by Galen and Wilhelm Roach."
Says his name is Valentyne. He was sent by Galen and Wilhelm Roach. No, I'm unfamiliar with that name as well. Said something about the Optimists. Understood, sir. Lord Inquisitor, my commander would request your presence. So he ushers you into the comms.
Walk over.
Gestures to it and stands nearby with the gun not across his chest like an old space marine, but out in front and easy to shoot you, but not aimed at you, but near enough.
Yeah. It's polite threat. Valentyne lives in that world. "Greetings, Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne present."
"Inquisitor Valentyne, this is Sandor Rafferty of the Crimson Thatch. I am somewhat confused about the message my Marine sends me. Can you clarify?"
Billingberg passed away.
Yes.
He was in league with both Galen and Wilhelm Roach, who were linked with your campaign. I do not know if you know about Roach, but I do believe that you know about Galen. I also interacted with Trin Rakai at one point before his tragic death. I am here to help guarantee the success of this confederacy. I wanted to move forwards. I wanted to succeed, and they believed that I was their successor. I come with certain tools, certain understandings, and the ability to open certain doors with a rosette. All of these I offer to you in service of our ultimate goal."
Wonderful. I must admit, I am somewhat surprised. Billingberg did not speak of a successor. His ego was large enough, I thought he would imagine no one could possibly stand up to his shining example, but if you've also dealt with Trin Rakai before he passed, then perhaps you have more legitimacy than I'm led to believe. Inquisitor, the assault on Terra has begun. Our friends in the Astra Militarum have lent their codes to a small flotilla of Tau vessels. The Xenos are currently attacking many of the way stations, drawing the Custodes away from the temple. You should be in that temple right now, but I understand you are running somewhat late, and given the Necrons assaulting Mars and the Tau in the orbit, that is not entirely surprising. We can have a ship bring you to the warp gate. If you're not there, presumably your information was old.
Yes, some of my information was out of date. Also, I've been waylaid by particular foes of my own. I have an undercover agent within them, but at the same time, I can send you photographs to ensure that they will not interfere with our plans. Any that can be eliminated by the Crimson Thatch will strengthen our resolve and success.
Understood. We will lay waste to these foes you mentioned. In any case, Inquisitor, we should get you there as soon as possible. It is shameful and embarrassing that green skins must be the one to make the actual attempt on the Emperor. I would value your sword and your arm alongside our Primorc, Bobby.
Yes, I will bring the deadliest of my assets that are with me, and we can make this happen. It is unfortunate to rely on the green and blue, but the thing that will truly carry us across this line is and has always been the Crimson Thatch chapter.
I appreciate your due reverence, Inquisitor. It is one other lesser mortals would do well to remember. I appreciate that you understand the value of Adeptus Astartes, no matter the color of our armor. You should also know that the uprising on the remnants of Cadia go well. Seneca is holding up his end of the bargain, and the Chaos Marine forces there are attacking their brethren as another servant of the more correct side of the Imperium. I trust it will bring you the relief it brings me to know that even though we must sully ourselves with these particular allies for this moment, they are murdering our other enemies and drawing Custodes' attention. Things are going well, Inquisitor. I trust they will go better with you.
Absolutely. Our ultimate victory will be achieved.
Let's get you to a land speeder. We must get you to the warp gate as soon as possible.
Agreed.
The Marine steps forward, and Rafferty just says, "This man and his compatriots are of the utmost priority. Any who fail to bring them to me will meet my chain sword. Is this understood?" And the Marine's like, "Yes, sir." He says, "Good. Cross that one out." And he kills the Marine says, "I have rarely heard my lord speak in such high terms. It is an honor, sir." And he gets down on one knee and puts a hand across his chest.
It is an honor for both of us. To fight and stand alongside you is the highest honor I have achieved in my career up to this point. Today, we will both achieve greater honors.
Yes, and we shall stand shoulder to shoulder in a shining new day for the Imperium.
Excellent, says Valentyne.
And with that, now it's Mr. President. It's just Marine lifts you by the shoulder, shoves you forward, and the rest of you kind of have to run in his wake because he's hustling you down the hall. And kind of there's a couple of pausing for Necron Marine exchanges, a couple of pausing for Mechanicus Necron exchanges, and then finally kind of pushes you forward out onto a large platform. So you're finally up and above ground. Mm-hmm. And there are fires across the surface of Mars. Mars is, of course, one large kind of fabricator facility temple now to the Omnissiah. You certainly see a bunch of the cog boys just kind of printed on buildings and the like, but also the green fire of Gauss cannons as Necrons kind of unleash hell on a bunch of these buildings. In the sky above Mars, you see various Marine Thunderbird drop ships kind of swooshing down, and kind of I don't think you could see, Mars's atmosphere. No, Mars does have enough atmosphere that you wouldn't be able to see into space. So we can make it nighttime. Yeah, fuck it. It's nighttime. So sort of high in the sky, you can also see the blips of vehicles and interstellar fire as Tau vehicles open fire on Imperial. Like, I don't think you could see Imperial fire from here, but like Tau weapons are all real flashy and lasery. Mm-hmm. So yeah, basically like active war scene above, active war scene below. And sure enough, a land speeder is kind of pulling down. Marines hopping out to make room for you, and the pilot kind of gesturing for the three of you to join.
Yep. Can Valentyne see anyone that looks like a weaponsmith or experienced engine seer? Because he feels like he's got enough power with the Crimson Thatch that he could grab somebody who's a capable mechanicus, and over the course of this flight, just force them to polish, sharpen, take a look at the Crozius on the way.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, the Crimson Thatch have just made this their planet now. And there's not, tactically, you can kind of assume that the Necrons were unleashed and the Crimson Thatch set a timer and waited an appropriate amount of time for the Skitarii to get their ass kicked and have now arrived. So even though elsewhere on the planet there's like full Mechanicus armies and other things, in this area around this black site, it's like they let it ride long enough that there's no longer any resistance. So if they just want to grab a guy, like, this is Thatch territory now. It is no longer Adeptus Mechanicus.
Great. Then, yeah, he would just request somebody while loading the rest of his people in. So, they get Mr. Presidented in. His fellows get Mr. Presidented in. And whatever asshole was the most useful gets Mr. Presidented in with him to the land speeder. And he would say, I uncovered this in the city of Camorra. I require it polished, sharpened. If you can activate its machine spirit, all the better. Show it the great reverence that it deserves.
And the Mechanicus holds it like a newborn baby. She says, "Of course, my lord, I would like nothing more."
Perfect. Get to work.
And begins to polish and shine as the speeder begins to take off.
Valentyne would quietly be able to say to his fellows, sub-vocalized-ish, he's not worried about this being super secret because everything works under the current cover that he has, but he would say, our fellow has fallen in with another surprising group, undercover, as we'd anticipated with some of our enemies. She may be able to make her way to Terra on her own, using, shall we say, the stone of an additional ally to make her way there. 2 different prongs, ultimately leading to the same goal. Do not worry that she's been left behind.
I am not, sir.
He is a little unsure, but he goes, yes, I trust in you.
Excellent.
Great. So speeder takes off, and as it does so, the ground beneath it shakes and kind of bends, and you see things like cracking and breaking behind you as you begin to take off, as the Titan begins to lurch forward through buildings, just kind of crashing out of things, sort of lurching and stumbling. As your land speeder takes off and begins to fly, it's really one of those like kaiju moments where it's just the Marines being like, oh, that's not one of ours. And immediately las fire begins to like rain up at this vehicle, and over the comms you just hear Black and you're like, Valentyne, come on, man, just get on board. We're all here. I got your friends. And just like las cannon blasting away this thing. None of you are piloting it. So I'm going to roll a pilot check and see what happens as this occurs.
Now, it's been a while, but I believe we treat driving as piloting, right? When we're building a
this is a land speeder, so it's also not a plane in the traditional sense.
It's more of like a fancy land car. I'll give you a boost for that. All right, so I got 2 yellow, 2 green, 1 blue, 3 red, 1 purple, 1 black. Do you want to spend any story points?
Yeah, this feels important. Also, I'd like the story point is as much the fact that this is a Space Marine quality pilot, not a random mortal coming through. This is a land speeder with a high value target sent specifically to pick up and be delivered by Sandor
Rafferty. Still Crimson Thatch, but yeah, he's doing his best.
There's no such thing as a bad Space Marine.
Fair enough.
They can be evil, not inefficient.
All right. That is 3 failure, 3 threat.
Oh, no.
Jesus.
So with the ship taking off, last cannon fire beginning to sort of like hit it and pelt it, land speeders are lightweight. They're meant to go quick and they're meant to blow up fast, says the guy who used to play Ravenwing. And then realized he'd spent money very poorly. So, as you take off, it's just like last cannon fire off of this Titan. You can tell it's not fully operational. Like it doesn't.
Do you
have
mean the Titan is firing the last cannons, or it's firing up at the last cannons from? Like,
I'm
defenses?
sorry.
No, I just
the
wanted to make
Titan
sure
is firing up at the speeder as the speeder flies away. It doesn't have its like quake cannon installed in its back. You're in a Warbringer Titan, so big.
I don't know that one.
Big boy. Warbringer Titans are built to level buildings or other Titans. It basically has a quake cannon on its back that's meant to just blast one big heavy target as hard as it can. It's called a quake cannon because it will often cause earthquakes when it like levels shit.
It could have been hours.
So, well, I mean, you're in it.
You're just not awake for it.
The suit is moving at like a slightly like it doesn't have the weight of the massive cannon that's supposed to like live on its back. So it is stepping at like a heightened pace as stuff kind of crashes and breaks around it. But last cannon fire hits the speeder. Speeders are lightweight. Immediately, like engine burns out. The priest that you grabbed just like uses his body to shield the weapon as the speeder kind of like on fire sputters out and sort of he does the classic like crashing drive where he like it's a crash landing, but he manages to kind of navigate you through so you don't slam into any walls, hit the ground, and he's just like, everybody out now. And he kind of like pulls out his pistol and his chainsaw and leaps out beside
Valentine's just gonna follow. He will take the Crozius from that stupid priest who's just running around with. He can keep up and do the work
he was just going to
wants.
use himself as a cushion.
Yeah, exactly. Which is great.
He's immediately like he's
Valentine's taking it back, clipping it to a belt. He's ready to follow.
Great. All right. So you're on foot. All of you. You've jumped ship from your speeder, and there is a Titan crashing through the city behind you. Morgan, you wake up in the cockpit of this Titan. The young guy seems to be plugged into it, screaming warp fire. You're not Psyker, which is good because you don't want to hear what the machine spirit interacting with this guy is like.
Okay.
It's not great. Blackhand is having harsh words with Wickstrop, who is like just aggressively yelling at him about like the shooting down the speeder. Lyric is just patrolling like a caged animal, and Cora is kind of standing in a corner staring at you. Your head is on something soft, and as you awake, Voidstain like holds up a little bottle of water.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry about the violence of my Lord Blackhand. He has quite a temper at times, but he did save me and the Duke from the destruction of Greybridge and gave us a home and a mission. He's a little rough around the edges, not like your Lord Valentyne, but he has his place. He will be an instrument that Valentyne can use, like Lord Attikus.
I'm very glad he saved you. Morgan's like sputtering and drinking a little water while she's frantically like, can I attach is Toby in here? Can I see from Toby's point
Toby's
of
in
view?
here. They brought your now that they know not to touch your stuff. Like
Yeah, great.
And I will say, like, he's got other folks with him. Like, there's a couple other kind of like Inquisition band mates who are moving around. It's not like he only brought name brand characters with him, but there's only so many people you can teleport with an illicit teleporter. So it's not like there's a lot. There's like 3 goons like who could haul stuff around. And
then I think it's subvocally, L1, are you still online?
Barely.
Oh, shit. Shit. Yeah, I'm scoping out the interior of this place because Morgan feels like once I get up from here of languishing, I'm not going to have very many things that I can do. So Morgan wants to just perceive as much as she can of like, what can I do and wait for the best moment to strike? Because obviously it seems like this guy does not want to kill Valentyne, at least not right at this moment. But what can I get eyes on that I can most affect this environment when possible? But for now, it's like she's scoping it out with Toby and like looking around at everything. And if she can get out another photo to like Valentyne down there, it's like, here's the interior, here's what's going on. But
Blackhand comes over and just kind of like does a little hands on knees crouch. And just says, hey, do you have a line open to Valentyne? Can you just tell him to get up here? I don't know why is he running away?
I think that the moment that he starts talking like that, she will open the comms will be receiving to Valentyne, but she'll just cough and just I don't know. I can't do anything for you. My head is spinning.
Oh, okay. All right. I understand. And he walks over and uses his gimbaled arms to pick up Toby and just stretch the arms. And he says, you know what? I've seen these guys before and they're always dirty with receivers. So I'll just start digging around in here. And you know what? I bet we can find a way to chat to Valentyne. Does that sound good?
She's going to cough. Whatever you think you need to do, I don't understand any of this. I'm like, let it ride. Like, I can't. She's gotten all the information she can out of this room. She has her own earbead to him. That's going to stay. If this gets ruined, that's that.
Great. He rips open Toby's chest.
Oh.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features the voices of players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Josh Halbot, and Del Borovic, alongside Game Master Tom McGee. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic at delborovic.com. That's DELBOROVIC.com. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ad breaks use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR. All of their music is available at freemusicarchive.org. For all things Dum-Dums and Dice, including merchandise and how to join our Patreon, you can visit dumdumdice.com or find us on social media at dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: George Dolby, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Alarain Okapi, Madre de Gatos, Mithrian, Garbo Ape, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dia de los Hoodless, Squishy Werewolf, Remy Funky Head, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Jordan Oliver, Richard Wright, Brittany Fenwick, Megan Werner, A Man Out of Time, Curtis at FingerTechRobotics.com, Panda24NN, Shendra D, Your Homeboy Bones, Ellis Hatch, Odigenous, Kai Koa, Squire Solaire, Sandy Sassy Pants, Amira Lockhart, James Molina, Nick Hemsing, Alex LaFountain, Nikki Blake, Seth Cambron, Corpse Knight Silver, Adam Mir 101, The Dankler, Anticore 7, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.